Mark O'Brien and Kevin Rafter are editors of another book, Independent Newspapers, A History, from the Four Courts Press. It's a collection of 16 chapters with various aspects of this remarkable story put in context, from Parnellite politics up to late last night. This is from the archives of 1949, part of the Salute, the Declaration of the Republic. The recording is used here to recall one of the most important episodes in the history of independent newspapers, and it's covered in a chapter in this book, A Tale of Womanly Intuition, Hector Legge at the Sunday Independent, by Kevin Rafter. It covers the circumstances in which Ireland left the Commonwealth in 1948-49. The announcement that John A. Costello's government had that intention was first published in the Sunday Independent by Hector Legge, and it led to the formal declaration of the Republic of Ireland in 1949 and Jack Costello's denunciation of Britain's response, which was the Government of Ireland Act, which indeed strengthened partition. It did this because although the veto on a united Ireland was always invoked by London in the name of Ulster Unionism, the custodianship of that veto after 1949 was entrusted to the Ulster Unionists at Stormont. And this was Costello's response, April 1949.
For on this issue we are all united, and we speak here tonight with one voice. Whatever our political views are, whatever our personal differences in the past may have been, we stand here tonight, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, Anna Publica, and the Toulon, Congress of Irish Union, Labour Party, the party from the north with Mr McIntyre, Mr Conlon and Senator Lennon. We all stand together here tonight and speak with one voice, demanding one thing, and it is much, demanding the enforcement here, the application here in this country of those principles of democratic justice and right which the British nations say they are going to apply in Burma, in India, in the far-flung quarters of the earth, but they won't apply here. We ask for the application of all the principles of justice and democratic right. We ask for justice, and that's not too much to ask. In return for that, they can have our friendship. If they don't want that, then they'll have our resolute determination to end this cruel wrong.
This account in the book has prompted us to revisit the RTE sound archives, which reflect the circumstances in which John A. Costello, then Taoiseach, made his announcement that Ireland would repeal the External Relations Act and leave the Commonwealth. Many myths have grown up around this, including one that Costello was affronted that at a formal dinner with the Governor-General, an ornament on the table was based on Roaring Meg, a Unionist symbol. Paddy Lynch was at that dinner.
The relationship between Lord Alexander and himself was not good. I think neither was very good at small talk. And I do know that he resented the piece of small talk in which Lord Alexander did indulge, which was reminding him that these were replicas of Roaring Meg. But he certainly did not react in any way. I was observing the whole performance, and there was nothing in the nature of the violent reaction that some people have suggested took place.
But on the following day after that dinner, a Sunday, in the Sunday Independent, the editor, Hector Legge, ran his celebrated exclusive, his scoop, External Relations Act to go.
Hector believes that it was editorial inspiration led him to produce that headline on that Sunday morning. He knows that I don't believe that. I'm certain he was informed from some source. It may have been through Paddy Quinn.
Or do you think Hector Legge had a minister leaking information to him?
He was very friendly with both James Dillon and Sean McBride.
More so with
James Dillon. My personal view is that it was James Dillon, but Hector denies that absolutely.
I think what there unquestionably is...
Historian Ronan Fanning.
Somebody gave Hector Legge a story. Now, he's always refused to reveal his source. I think now that we're in this situation with 30-year rules and historical documents, I think 40 years afterwards, he might perhaps do the historians a favour and reveal his source at this stage. However, that's a matter for Hector Legge.
And what was Hector Legge's response?
I'm tired contradicting that. There was no such thing as a leak. I knew McBride quite well. I would never ask McBride anything about that. Or Dillon. I was very friendly with James Dillon. No way. There was no such thing as a leak. I mean, it's there.
Not in the formal way, but would they have told you about any discussions?
No.
Did they mention the external relations?
No, I didn't talk to anybody about the external. Are you going to abolish it? I never did. Because if you want to be friendly with cabinet ministers or that, you don't seek to embarrass them by asking questions that you know they shouldn't answer.
If after 40 years there had been a leak, would you tell who your informant was?
Well, that's a question though. That's a great big if there had been. Well, actually, I hadn't spoken to anybody about it. I like to say, sometimes I use the phrase, it was my womanly intuition, but I suppose I really should say journalistic intuition.
Was Hector Legge's story in the Sunday Independent a scoop or a leak? Or was it a kite? It certainly forced the pace. Costello quickly learned of the content and had a scheduled press conference with the Canadian press corps on the Tuesday following the Sunday Independent story. Paddy Lynch, with him in Canada as advisor, recalled him being briefed by John Hearn, Irish ambassador in Ottawa, briefed to make no comment.
After all, I have those discussions with John Hearn, and with John Hearn earnestly pleaded with him not to discuss the matter for hours. And I remember he's saying in indignation, he said, John, look, that has appeared in today's Tuesday for the press conference, tomorrow is Tuesday, that surely to goodness they will have known that I have been sent the contents of the Sunday Independent, and to say that I have no comment to make on a new newspaper article of 3 days ago. That's something that's not really in my nature.
What happened was
John A. Costello's testimony.
the decision to repeal the External Relations Act was taken by the government unanimously before I left for Canada.
Another contributor to this historical controversy was Cabinet Minister Noel Browne. What may have happened is that a consensus was emerging among some Cabinet colleagues that Ireland should leave the Commonwealth. It is certainly plausible that if Costello feared that Sean McBride would force the pace on this, that Costello might prefer to make the decision himself, that it would be a Fine Gael and not a Clonla Public decision. It is also possible that Noel Browne was outside this Cabinet consensus and that no formal decision had been made through the Cabinet.
But the fact that there had been no prior consultation, not only with the British, but with the colleagues in the Cabinet, makes the whole thing an absolute diplomatic mayhem.
Ronan Fanning certainly believes that diplomatically it was badly handled. It soured Anglo-Irish relations.
I think you could say they were disappointed in Costello, and they would, I think, unquestionably have been disappointed that the Fine Gael head of the government was responsible for that enhancement. I think if it had been Sean McBride who'd been in Canada and Sean McBride had made that announcement, they wouldn't have liked it. But I don't think perhaps they would have been so surprised as they were. I think that element of surprise is a key element. That there's an old axiom in diplomacy that to conduct a successful foreign policy, you should never surprise either allies or potential foes.
Noel Browne also put on the record his recollections of Jack Costello coming back to his first cabinet meeting after he had returned from Canada.
Jack was very subdued and repentant and gave the impression that he knew that he had done something quite wrong, that he hadn't the authority to do it, and he was pulling out all the stops emotionally. He was very sorry for himself, and he then blurted out this thing, and if you want, I resign.
In 1976, almost 30 years after these events, when Noel Browne gave that account on this station of Costello's offer of resignation, Hector Legge that very afternoon made 4 telephone calls. First, to James Dillon.
I asked him, had he seen this meeting? Had he seen the Brown statement? He said, yes. Well, was such a meeting held? And not alone did he say no such meeting was held, but I remember well in his expansive voice saying to me, and I beseech you, have nothing to do with that man. And my reply to that was, yes, I will, James. I said, I have plenty of ammunition. I will continue to deal with him. When I replied to that and gave Brown an opportunity to retract what he has said by praising him for his work as Minister for Health and saying he was probably so engrossed in the work that he had made a mistake about this meeting. But instead of retracting it, he's always repeated it. Then the next one then was Sean McBride. No meeting was held. Then the next one was Paddy Lynch. No such meeting was held. Then Declan Costello, the son, that no meeting could have been held in the House without he knowing about it. So there you are.
Hector Legge, who's the subject of one of the chapters in this book, A Tale of Womanly Intuition. Hector Legge at the Sunday Independent, 1940 to 1970, by Kevin Rafter.